we don't refill. So we become the empty cup. And that empty cup, that requires complete nervous system regulation and rewiring. It's in our fascia. It's in our tissues. It's a deeper burnout.
Welcome back to Shine In and Out, the space where science meets soul. I'm your host, Sammy Stoltz, and today's guest is Dr. Julie Merriman. She is an educator, a certified sex counselor, a trauma specialist, author, and speaker with over 25 years of experience helping high-achieving women overcome burnout, compassion fatigue, and intimacy challenges. Her work blends clinical neuroscience, somatic practices, and polyvagal-informed nervous system regulation to restore vitality, desire, and sustainable well-being. She's the creator of Soul Joy and the author of In Pursuit of Soul Joy, and she also has an upcoming book releasing in spring of 2026. And from her Texas ranch, she hosts 2 podcasts and leads a movement empowering women over 50 to reclaim energy, voice, and embodied confidence. Let's jump right in. Okay, welcome, Dr. Julie.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Samantha.
So excited to hear from you today. I'd love to begin with your story. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, it was a journey. How far back? How far back do I start? Girl, I got married at 16. I wasn't even pregnant. That
should be illegal.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yes. I'm not married to that gentleman anymore, but my story started very non-conventional. Really had kind of a crazy home life, and which led, we do that. We're trying to seek stability, even if we don't know why we do things. And this gentleman was very attentive, and I thought would be a stable life. Turned out that attentiveness turned into some abuse. So, word to the wise of someone. Well, at 16, we don't make good choices. So I'm going to give us both some love and
frontal lobe.
Yeah. But we were married for 10 years, and he is the father of my 2 boys. But all that's to say, I was told I graduated high school as a junior. I was still married. I was married when I graduated high school. So I did not start college until I was about 25 because I was told I did not have the brains to go to college. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I went to hair school, which was great. I owned a hair salon and I had so much fun, all the creativity. I love hairdressers. And I like to say it's where I started my counseling, if you will, behind the chair.
Oh, so true.
So true. But one day, just out of the blue, I don't remember why I was like, to heck with this. I'm taking a college course. And that led to another, and that led to another. And then one day I was called into the dean's office, and I thought, well, they calling me into the dean's office, and I was told I had a 4.0, and I thought that was a terrible number. I was like, oh, am I going to get kicked out of school? They were like, no, you're on the dean's list. We're going to give you, I got a scholarship.
Wow.
It was, isn't that silly though? I didn't
even know.
What
a great surprise.
What a great surprise. I was not kicked out of school.
But that's the beauty of it, because you weren't doing it for the grades. You were doing it because you were excited to learn.
That's right.
I love that.
That's absolutely, I had no idea where that path might end. Although I did know since I was in 7th grade, I went to an alternative campus in Fort Worth, Texas, where we had all these cool classes. And one was career counseling, and the idea of a counselor was introduced to me. So I knew early I really had that hope, but I just never dreamed I could get there. But I've never left college, right? My husband, in fact, I met my husband, I've been married to him for 35 years, the gentleman I'm married to now. I met him in our undergrad work together, and he teases me. He's like, you've never left school ever since I've known you. Because as soon as I graduated with my PhD, I went into teaching, and and so it's home.
Life is our classroom.
Yeah,
I'll never stop learning.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I've been so lucky. Every goal, I like to say, every T-shirt I set out to get, if you will, like at a concert, those T-shirts you get. Yeah. Every T-shirt I've ever wanted, I have gotten. I've met all my goals. And it's just, I feel so blessed and so lucky to have a wonderful husband and my boys are in their 40s, but they're grown and happy and thriving. So just to have a career that is exactly what I want it to be and a life that,
Wow, that
yeah.
is so amazing. And it's what you said that struck me was that people told you you didn't have the brains to do it.
Well,
And
that's,
that's quite discouraging.
yes.
But I'm so glad. I mean, I think the pressure wasn't on because you were just doing it to do it. And then it just bloomed into something beautiful. You weren't pressuring yourself. You were just, I want to have this experience.
Right, right.
I think
And
that's a great way to live.
oh, it's a wonderful way to live. Now I wasn't always, I mean, uh, I did get very burned out along the way. I was,
Mm,
so,
been there,
but,
sister.
but as I've recovered, I live in the present. I don't get as, oh, I'm recovering from perfectionism. I promise you that. And the person that was so mean to me is no longer in my life. So the man I have now says I can do anything in the world and has supported me through every endeavor. So it's
That is
lovely to have
wonderful.
a supportive team.
Very important.
Yeah.
The people around you. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Um, living in the present is also a big, I mean, I don't know many people that can say that they do that. Um, so for that journey for you as also a recovering perfectionist and always I did an exercise yesterday where I just sat and like set a minute timer and saw where my mind went. And it went to, oh man, this is so nice. I really need to do this more. And then it went to, shouldn't I be worried about this?
Those neural pathways are hard to redirect.
They really are. They really are. And I think that's a big thing for people. They want to fix it. They want to start living in the present, but all of those pathways have been built over years and we want immediate gratification nowadays more than ever. So how do you get people to stick with it?
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. And I was the biggest, in fact, as a therapist, because I've had a private practice for 30 years, along with my professor stuff. I felt like a big fat fake, because I would tell my clients, you need to do this and you need to
Mm.
do that. And then I'd go home and not. Um, as I told you, I started life a little late. Well, no, I mean, I think I'm right where I need to be on time, but at 25, I was like, holy crap, everyone else I graduated high school with has a degree. I'm behind. Of course, I had already owned my own salon and done things, that my colleagues had not. But, I felt like I was behind. So I did pressure myself when I got into my career, like, oh, I've got to catch up. I've got to be the best. I've got to, I'll work 20 hour. Well, you can't work a 20-hour day, but I sure as heck tried. I ran a psych unit for a while and I can remember I'd come out to the car and I'd sit there and think, how in the hell do I get home? I live 5 minutes away, but my little Passat didn't know how to, because I was so fried, so tired
Yeah.
and just expected so much out of myself. And that's very hard to live in the present when you were in that pressure cooker, if you will.
Yes.
And,
Yes. The
you know,
grind of it.
oh yes. And so the question is, how do I help my clients? First, I had to get right with myself, right? I had to follow through. I don't want to be a big fat fake. I don't usually call myself that, but I wanted authenticity is very important to me. So I felt like I needed to get my life cleaned up and live the way I want. Well, I'm not going to tell a client what they want because that's up to them. I want to meet them where they're at, but I do want to show up authentic and in a place where a client, you can feel that. You can feel if you're with a person that is not living what they're telling you to live, if
Hmm.
you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first I got myself straightened out, recovered from my burnout. And now, I learned so much through that journey. Samantha, I learned so much through that journey. Neuroscience, polyvagal theory, nervous system regulation, which goes with polyvagal theory. But the kind of burned out I was so busy performing, I had dissociated from myself.
Hmm.
I had dissociated from healthy relationships. I was killing myself through the performance, even though, and it's not like I was a stage actor by any means, but I wanted to be the responsible one. I want to meet needs before people even know they have those
Oh,
needs. I,
yeah. Oh.
I want all the things that become wired into our nervous system. It's in our fascia. A bubble bath is not going to fix that. A spa day is not going to fix that. Although a good masseuse who is skilled in bioenergetics, which is a great theory that I love to use with my clients, but a good masseuse can recognize where energy is stuck on our body and help to move it. Because I use a lot of chakra psychology and somatic therapies with my clients because we're energy beings, right? I used to
Yeah,
think
everything is energy.
everything. I used to think chakras was this woo woo thing, and then I did the science research behind it. I'm like, oh hell, that's not woo woo at all. That's
I know,
ancient.
and it's okay. So as a scientist, I struggle with that. And as you know, this podcast is all about where science meets soul. And
Right.
because I have trouble with the scientists in my life showing them this part of me, because I know that they haven't done that research, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the understanding, and it does feel woot to them. And I don't want that to undo my credibility as a scientist, but I'm trying to create a world where it all works together and it's holistic wellness, because that's what's true.
That
We're
is
we're
the,
we're only looking at half of the picture and healing half of the illness.
I tell you, I presented at CDC in 2020. Well, anyway, 5, 6 years ago, I was on a research team with some other scientists. I brought in the mental health component, and I was fascinated when it was the one in Georgia. Anyway, so we have this presentation to all these scientists at the CDC, and girl, they were all, the research was latent tuberculosis. And I brought in
Hmm.
how hard that is on people and how it impacts their lives. And the scientists were like, there's people behind this disease? It's impacting lives? What? They were, but, but that holistic piece, it's not going to happen unless
Yeah.
we address the whole person, her energy centers, the way the disease, whatever, because I just recovered from breast cancer, the way the disease impacts your body. We have to look at it holistically. And chakras have been around for thousands of years. Something has to be right about it.
Okay, that is something that I have been thinking about lately. All of these cultures, they've been meditating, they've been following these energetic, like, readings and writings for decades, and they all have these similar experiences of being fully present and, the enlightenment, whatever it may be. Isn't that pretty good evidence? Like, in a lot of psychological studies, all we can do is observe.
Right.
So, I mean, we've got decades of experiential research, and it feels silly to ignore it.
It is silly. And I love what you're doing, marrying those two, because so few people even think to do that. And it's so important. I think that's when we really will see progress, because just like the burnout and compassion fatigue that I research, and I also do a lot of work with sex after 50, women's, their sexuality after 50, because when we're so, we get numb. That's what happens from the burnout. That's an identity burnout that happens. We just become numb. We accomplish all these things, but we don't feel that accomplishment. We don't feel the success. We just go right to the next goal without stopping to enjoy. Oh, I see
Yeah,
something going on with you.
I think that's a like at all ages. I mean, I did burnout very early. I think it was 17, my health collapsed because I was pushing too hard and chronically stressed,
Yeah.
which I'm grateful for now because I started my journey early and I can help a lot more people. But yeah, the burnout, it made me realize how important health was. And it was kind of the thing I put on the back burner, you know. Uh, but I'm very excited to be talking about this because I also think burnout, how would you define it, first of all? Because everybody probably has a different idea of what that means, and some people probably don't feel that it's a valid reason to rest.
Girl, love that question. We have work burnout where we have too much work to do. Right. And as I put my students into the students I'm training to be counselors, they have to do internships. They're at these mental health facilities where they have these quotas it's impossible to meet. It's impossible to see that many clients and do those notes. That's work burnout. That a vacation, you can rest, you can recover from that. But identity burnout, the kind of burnout that I talk about in my book,
Hmm.
that's not an exhaustion like I ran a marathon and I'm tired. That is wired into your nervous system. It is not something you're able to just recover from because we give and we give and we give. We are the best employees. We are the
Oh,
best
yeah.
employees. Oh,
Stellar.
I love to hire me. What? We don't refill. So we become the empty cup. And that empty cup, that requires complete nervous system regulation and rewiring. Because as I said earlier, it's in our fascia, it's in our tissues. It's a deeper burnout. And you can't think your way out of it because we want to do that, especially those of us that like school. We want to think our way out of something. There's no way to think our way out of that. We have to learn to regulate that nervous system
Yeah.
because burnout also, folks who really struggle with this deep kind of identity burnout, to set a boundary feels like betrayal. It's very difficult to set that boundary. To say no feels like a
Oh,
betrayal.
saying no was like a
Yeah.
hard time to learn, for sure.
Oh, yeah, because we learn, I call it the good girl syndrome,
Yes.
if you will.
Yes, I have an exact episode, I think, titled that.
Yeah. Well, we learn that to be loved and liked, we have to please. It's also called fawning. It's part of the
Yes.
polyvagal,
Yes.
the fawning
And
piece.
it's an evolutionary response, and we can't blame ourselves for that.
No,
It's how we've personally chosen to survive. It's a mechanism. Um,
absolutely. And it served
but
us
once you
so well.
recognize that, it did. And once you recognize that, you can forgive yourself. I think a huge part of the healing is people like stopping it because they're beating themselves up. Like, if you truly understand, and that's why I love the scientific side of it. If you understand what's going on biologically, you can be gentle with yourself
Right.
psychologically.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a huge difference.
Well,
And yeah.
well, no, you're so right. Cause the clients I work with in my private practice, they want to understand. It's, it's like an algebra problem that sometimes it's very hard to solve. But once they have some words to go with, oh, that's why that's happening.
Mhm.
Oh, and
It's
okay.
normal.
Yeah. And I just need to get grounded and I just need to learn some techniques to help my polyvagal, the vagus nerve, to calm down. And it's a whole different world. I had to teach my 86-year-old mother this because she would get upset and her polyvagal system would get so triggered and she'd have bathroom issues. I mean, she would just become so sick. And once, if I can teach my 86-year-old mother to do
Hell yeah.
this,
That's
it's,
neuroplasticity right there.
oh, honey, isn't that right? Yes. And now she's able to put her hand on her heart and go, okay, that's what this is. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the resentment yet. We'll get to that. But
Heck yeah,
anyway,
mama. I love that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm glad she was open to it. I was talking about the difference between fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence. And my friend and I were actually saying, like, if you start to notice that I'm closed off to any ideas or learning new things, like, yell at me.
Oh, what
Because yeah, I never want to stop. I never want to close my mind off to new ideas.
I love that. I'm right there with you. My little mind was closed off to AI, especially as a professor, but I wrote an AI policy and the students are following it. I am in love with AI.
There are so many things that are coming to mind that I can't even pick what to talk about.
Why are you talking about neuroplasticity? I'm
Well,
63 and I'm open to AI.
yeah, heck yeah. I've been doing a lot of research with AI because although it is a wonderful tool, I do believe that we need to be creating some rules now.
Right.
Same with genetic engineering, same with I love philosophy, I love ethics. I battle myself all day on ethical issues, but I do think that we need to come together in advance before things get out of hand because they
Yes.
can.
Absolutely they can. Well, I won't go down the AI path, but yes, it can quickly, quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. So I had a note where you were talking about you felt like you were behind. That is something I see in so many people, clients, friends, like almost everyone, because we're comparing ourselves to other people's journeys.
Right.
And it's just wild. And I really trained myself out of that in almost everything. Like I've always been competitive, but I'm more competitive against myself. Like I know I can do better than that, or I have to do better than I did yesterday. So making it your own journey and like trusting the process, I think it's not natural to us humans.
No.
So yeah, so was it the experience that you had, the burnout that made you realize like or the fact that you've made it this far and it didn't matter that you were 25 when you started college? Like what made that realization for you?
I think it was through my burnout work. And let me say, good therapists keep themselves in therapy. So I have a good therapist. I
Brilliant.
think that's eminently important for those of us in helping professions because this is hard work we do. But through my burnout recovery journey and my good therapist, I we're miserable when we compare ourselves to others. There's no way we can compare ourselves to others and feel happy because you're absolutely right. Our journey is ours and there's not another thumbprint like mine in this world. So my journey is perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. And through my healing, I learned to embrace that. And I think in my 40s, I fell off this cliff. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, but where I said, I just don't give an F anymore.
Heck yeah.
I'm me. And I didn't even skin my knee when I fell off that cliff. It's like, I'm me and I have to feel comfortable in my skin.
Isn't it crazy?
That's
Of course there are some like results in your relationships that you might see people are uncomfortable with that, whatever it may be. But when you realize that you can be your full self and it is safe, you can never go back.
never, never.
And there are so many masks that we wear, so many masks that the people around us put onto us. The second they say, oh, you're so smart, then you're like, okay, I have to maintain the smart mask around this person. Or my cousins think I'm funny, so I have to be funny every time around my cousins.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And for the longest time, I remember in my biggest phase of burnout when I wanted to spend time with my friends, but I was just exhausted, empty glass. And I was like, no, because I'm not my chipper self. Who wants to hang out with that? My mom
Yeah.
was like, they're your friends. They love you no matter what. And I really had to push through and like allow myself to just be as I was instead of being sunny for everyone else.
But,
Um,
and that's that identity burnout I was talking about that yeah, this mask is for this person. This mask is for this person. And meanwhile,
yeah,
I'm effing exhausted. Who am
yeah,
I under all that?
yeah. And it is truly all me. Like I'm still being me. I'm just forcing certain
Yeah.
sides to come up
Yeah.
when I could just exist.
Yeah.
It's too much energy. Too much, way too much. And what you were saying about the accolades, like the reason why I made that face was because in high school I was like running and gunning. Like, at one point, I got an award in every class and then the, like, one award for the student of the grade, like, to represent the school.
Oh,
And I distinctly remember, first of all, I had crazy stage fright. So I, like, sprinted across the stage basically to accept the awards. And then I would, like, go next to the person next to me and be like, how did that go? Because I didn't
um,
remember it. Like, I fully blocked it all out. And then as soon as it happened, like, I didn't enjoy any of the awards. It was like, all right, next year I have to get every class because this year I got all classes but one. And just this, like, constant battle with myself. Oh, last year I got nothing lower than an A, but this year I got no A minuses. Okay, next year I can't get an A minus. Oh, this year I got all A pluses. I can never go back. Because when
yeah.
people say do your best, I really did take it literally, and I took it literally for the better half of my life.
Oh,
And
girl.
now I've redefined it as I'm doing my best while maintaining my health and my balanced, beautiful life.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we need to do, that balance. Because when we're at the other extreme, as you were talking about, I did the same thing, but in a different, I mean, in my way, we, we cannot sustain that. We just cannot sustain that. And we rob ourselves of so much joy. I can think of all the awards I've won, and I a lot of times I just don't show up to pick them up. I just, because I don't know. I don't want to, anyway, that's part of that, good girl syndrome for sure.
So I'd like to ask you if you see a correlation between that type of identity burnout, the or like a sense of early life stress, trauma, something like that, correlating with chronic illness or even just like chronic conditions that cannot be otherwise defined.
Well, that's I'm trying to I'm thinking about, yeah, because when that stress cycle is not complete, and that's what's happening when we stay in that constant state of let me please and oh, I got to do better. We got to have that stress cycle complete so we can release and get all those hormones we're dumping inside metabolized and out. But if you're in that constant stress cycle, you're tightening all the time, right? You're holding, you swallow your truth to keep the peace. Your heart is full of resentment, not because, and I want people to not be ashamed of resentment. I think resentment is sacred because if we take the time to put our hand on our heart, which is where resentment often lands, and soften it and approach it with curiosity and
Mm.
gentleness instead of judgment, and ask our
Mhm.
heart, what is it you need? Our body is so wise. It's going to let us know. And our body wants to release what our brain keeps cycling.
Yeah.
And when we don't do that, absolutely. I think that's where my breast cancer came from. I I have I've worked with more, I'm thinking my grad students, I won't say a school or names, but IBS, all the all the terrible things they go through because they're so hard on themselves. I'm the professor and I run the department. I'm the department head. I say, make a B. Do yourself a
We
favor.
need more people like you. Oh,
No one's going to look at your transcript. But
yeah.
yes, I mean, I don't have the numbers. It's anecdotal, but
Well, there
absolutely.
there is absolutely evidence, and there was a period where I was like, I really feel like my stress triggered my fibromyalgia, and it was like just conjecture, but like what else could have done that?
Yeah.
And now it's like unequivocal to me. I mean, because how I've learned to reduce my stress, like so healing myself biologically. I did have to do some things. I had to eat better. I had to exercise better. I had to reset my nervous system. But I also had to do a lot of mental work in order to do the resetting. And I don't think I would have ever been able to fully heal without having done that, without changing my perspective on what mattered and releasing myself from chronic stress. Because evolutionarily, all animals were meant to have a fight or flight response
Right.
in the moment of danger and then go back to normal cortisol levels and
Yeah.
all of that beautiful jazz. If I imagine a squirrel living in a constant state of stress, they're not going to survive. They're
No.
not doing great, I'll tell you that much. Their body is expending so much energy just on that fear alone.
Right.
Um, so yeah, absolutely. And the more research that comes out to prove it, the more the mind-body connection is being recognized.
It it's a beautiful thing that we're recognizing. And, our brain, it can perceive, well, I have that deadline coming up. Oh, my Lanta, I have that deadline coming up. And just like that squirrel that's in, we go to fight or flight or fun, whichever you might go. But our brain doesn't know that trauma that we're creating by not meeting that deadline or whatever isn't a saber-toothed tiger coming at us. It's got the
Oh,
same
I know.
response, and you have to metabolize all those hormones, and it's, and for therapists and helpers, when I'm listening to a client's trauma, and as a good therapist, I'm going to connect and be completely present. My brain does not know that trauma is not my trauma. So it's going to
Mm.
respond in the same way as if I were going through it.
Okay, gotta talk to you about that now because I am an extreme empath. So not only like I've always struggled with not taking other people's emotions on as my own, including people that I've never met. Um, and just trying to be a better leader. For a while, I thought it is my duty to feel things with people.
Oh, yeah.
It is a gift that they're not alone in feeling this, and I'm fully feeling this exactly as they are. And kind of after my burnout, I was like, well, realizing that I could be a better leader if I wasn't having the same experience, but I understood the experience,
Yeah.
but could help them through it.
Yeah.
So how do you separate that?
Yeah, well, I think what you're saying, you did. You were able to. I don't have to be in it with them. It's therapists. We're a
Somewhat.
little. Sometimes we do have to be in stuff with them, but that's why. Well, anyway, I don't have to be in it with them. I can be compassionate, but not take on the emotion. I have some
Mm.
techniques I use with some of my clients, like pretending a glass wall is between you and the client, so that you're present with them. Not like I'm isolated. I'm present with you, but any
Mhm.
emotions coming at me, you can visualize sticking to that glass wall. And I've had a lot of clients say, "My God, that helps so much." And then they, clean, squeegee that glass wall. So that remnants don't stick with them. But for those of us that are empaths, and I'm a strong empath as well, it took me years to figure out why I would be so overwhelmed with other people's emotions. This is going to be, it's going to seem woo woo, but I'm telling you, girl, this is proven. For me, put your hand on your crown chakra right here. If you're in a room that's really full of overwhelming emotions, and if you put your hand, nobody knows what you're doing. You're just kind of putting your hand there. I think it's a way of grounding too, but
Mm.
those emotions don't hit you so hard. It's, there's something to try next time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I love something actually like a concrete practice. It feels more, of course, it's a journey and I'm going to be doing the mental work, but having a physical practice is helpful.
It,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And also I think it's very important. And I trained this with my supervisees, but you need to have 5 minutes or so in between folks that you might be taking on emotions to decompress, discharge whatever kind of emotion you might have taken on, and remind your brain. I do a lot of full body scans. I think that's very
Mm,
important.
mm.
Where is that emotion hitting me? Oh, it's right here in my solar plexus. Okay, so my power is being challenged for, or whatever it might be. It gives you a lot of good information as you try to discharge some of that emotion in between whatever situation you might be moving through.
Okay, I'm gonna throw something at you.
All right. All right.
Um, it's gonna be okay. So it's a little bit of a roundabout. You're talking about how students have this impossible quota of patients to meet, and I'm very familiar in the medical industry how chop chop it has to be on time, as many people as you can, financially insurance-wise, all of those things. And first of all, that takes away from I feel like it takes away from the doctor-patient privilege, like, of being seen and, like, having the space to feel, but also the time that doctors have and counselors have between those sessions. Not only is it not sufficient sometimes, I'm sure, but people probably aren't using it correctly
No.
because they don't know what actual decompression is. They're gonna go on their phone, they're gonna whatever it may be in these modern times. How can we inspire people to reach for an actual somatic decompression technique in those times?
That's such a good question. And the very first thing that comes up for me, the system is built to burn us out. I'm a
Yeah.
system rebellion. They
Thank
are
you. We'll
what they,
talk.
yeah. Well, I mean,
That's
they
why I
give
didn't go
us,
to med school.
yeah, no, good. Cause that's
I can
just
help more people this way.
absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. But that system and it just makes me mad, but it's built to keep us. And the more burned out and quiet we are, we're not going to raise hell at work. We're just going to keep our nose down and go. But
It's true.
what I train my now, and my students, they're all therapists. We just try to get them through that internship because internships are just trying to get you get you through school so you can get your licensure and you can get going. We teach them decompression, somatic types of techniques. I'm not right there with them. Do they do it? I don't know. Although when I'm doing supervision, I can tell those who are more rattled and spend a little more time, especially when we have new folks in the profession. I think it's very important that us old timers spend some time with them, teaching them to advocate for themselves, teaching them how they have to make time to decompress. I also, of course, as a therapist, you have a therapeutic hour, 45 to 50 minutes. I tell my students, you take 45 minutes. That's boundary stuff. So many want to go over the limit, but I won't go there. Anyway, take your 45 minutes with your client. Attend to that client. Be the best you can be with that client. Then you take that 15 minutes and you do something to decompress so that you show up ethically with that next client.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not. And do that note. Do not wait to the end of the day to chart. That's unethical in my book. How are you going to remember
Yeah.
who you
No,
saw
I
and what?
agree. I've
And,
I'm a note taker at heart in
and
everything I do.
And less is more. You don't have to write a book with that note. Less is more. But get you something to drink, go to the potty, ground yourself. And I'm trained in bioenergetic therapy. So I really like to ground where looks like you're doing squats, but you're really trying to get the energy moving in your legs. You're trying to take your shoe off, roll your foot on the floor, really try to get yourself grounded and release. If you watch animals, I know you have a kitty cat. I don't know if you have access to a puppy dog, but animals shake. If you like my dogs, they shake all
Yeah.
the time. We're wired to shake. So that's something I teach too. Just do some shaking in between clients. Release. I mean, it really does
Shake it off.
release. So shake, shake, shake. But there are simple little things you can do. And trying to talk to your colleagues at work and hold each other accountable. Sugar, what did you do to discharge? I
Mhm.
mean, it's all in the name. Well, two things. That's why we have ethics. We show up better for our client. Our client gets better service because we've shown up better, and we preserve the profession by showing up better as well as ourselves. I mean, at the end of the
Yes,
day.
yes, yes. And in order to do these things, we have to build these environments where it is normal and expected and necessary to take that time for oneself. And sometimes in modern days, people bond over how busy they are and they brag about it or whatever it may be. And what you were saying about the people who are more experienced in the trade actually being a mentor and checking on those younger ones, that's what I'd like to see in every trade.
Yeah.
But sadly, it seems like in MDs especially, we had to suffer, you have to suffer.
Well, they're so
And
burned out. Yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing. I don't want
Mm-mm.
the people helping me to be burnt out. I want them to be at full capacity, especially if they're doing heart surgery. Like, just doesn't compute. And the burnout, the empathy burnout that we see in doctors, like a huge part, as we're increasingly learning, of patient care is the relationship and the way that they're spoken to, the way they're treated.
Research backs that up. The therapeutic alliance is the change agent. That you're absolutely right. And that's the first to go. That's the first to go when you're burned out.
Yeah. So obviously we all have to keep living and making a living. Realistically, how do you suggest people go about that burnout journey? Because I think so many people are like, oh, I'll set a spa day and that'll be enough. And I'm like, no, you got to do a bunch of little things every day.
Every day. Spa day ain't going to do it. That's not the kind of burnout that is going to, that burnout, that's in your fascia. That's in your tissues. That's in your nervous system. You have got to get, I would say first, find a good therapist who does somatic work because you've got to move your body. Meditation is a good place to start, but it's got to be far beyond that. We've got to discharge all that stress that we're carrying, find a way to get that stress cycle to complete so that we can show up fresh. We have so much guilt around resting and so much guilt around putting ourselves first. That has got to be unwired. That has got to be unwired to give ourselves permission that, yeah, I feel like crap and I got to do something about this because that's no way to live. That's not living. That is not living. There's all kinds of resources out there, but we've got to be willing to reach and use those resources. It's easy to piss and moan in the break room. I know that. And it can feel kind of yummy sometimes because you feel validated, but
it's good bonding.
It's
just
bonding.
Not the right type of bonding.
It's trauma bonding.
Yeah.
We don't need to trauma bond, but yeah. And I would also say at some point, this system is going to break. Maybe it will be you, my dear, that will be the leader to come in and do a system
I would love that.
Healthier.
It just does not, it doesn't even make sense to me. You know what I mean?
No. And I have some of my best friends are doctors and they chose to do some boutique work or go into plastics or do something where they don't have to. Insurance companies, don't even get me started on that. But don't be afraid to do something different, whatever that might be. Do something for yourself. Try a micro rebellion. Yeah. Well, it's really not, it's easy. If someone asks you to do something, instead of saying yes or no, you force yourself to say, well, let me check and I'll get back with you, to teach your brain that it's okay to take a pause. Right now, it doesn't know that that's a safe thing to do. So that's a little micro rebellion, but also learning to be embodied. We are floating heads of competence. Embody. When you feel something, stop and ask yourself, where am I feeling that? That's one thing I love about the chakras. Sometimes my clients don't know what I'm doing, but I'll say, where does that anxiety show up in your body? And they're like, in my body? It's in my head. No, it's in your body. And they finally learn, oh, it's right here. And I get curious. What is it trying to tell me? What do I need right now? We short circuit that so much, but we have to be embodied. We have to. That
is absolutely. And I'm hearing that more and more, and I'm realizing that more and more. Even if you're doing all the work up here, you're like, oh, I'm improving because I have better, more positive thoughts. Great, but you have to be here too.
You got to include that vagus nerve.
Yeah, and just, I think people are afraid to feel their feelings.
Oh, they're
They're afraid to be
terrified.
alone with their thoughts. They're
Terrified.
afraid to, like, sit there with it. They wanna distract. I mean, that's why we have all of these poor coping mechanisms, and it's completely fair, and we understand it biologically, so we can be gentle with ourselves, but we can also realize that there's something to be done. And there is absolutely something to getting to know the language of your body. It took
Yeah.
me a long time to understand what my intuition was saying, understand that I shouldn't ignore it,
Right.
and then there were some consequences when I did. And just asking my body what it needs. Like, instead of following an influencer saying 5 a.m. protocol, wake up, hit the gym super hard, I ask my body what it needs every day.
Right.
I'm like, we need to move, but nothing too intense. Maybe I'll go on a nice long walk. Ask your body what it needs. It's a personal journey. It's your body.
Right.
Um, and I think getting to know it better, it's a game changer. It's been a game changer for me.
It is a gift. It is a gift. And it changes. My body is so different today than it was, I don't know, in my 30s. I mean, it's still a good body and it still does lots of things for me. And I used to teach aerobics, which I thought I had to kill myself. If I wasn't sweating on the, dropping from
Yeah.
the aerobics, I wasn't exercising. And now I can do a 20-minute ride on my Peloton, get my endorphin hit, walk outside, go out and talk to the cows, scratch my horse's
Mm.
ears. I've learned to appreciate the walking, and I've also learned how important that is to help us get embodied, and the vitamin D to help us regulate our emotions. There's so much we can do for ourselves, and the more we can get out of our
Absolutely.
head, the better, because it's a chatty Cathy.
It's so true, and it's funny that people think that it's necessary to have that constant chatter, that it's like to survive and to thrive, you need to always be thinking of something and worried about something and doing something with your brain. But the best meditators that can actually take themselves out of thought and be fully embodied, they're doing everything and they're maintaining peace.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want that for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. And it absolutely. They're comfortable in their skin. They're completely and fully comfortable in their skin. What a gift. What a gift.
Hmm.
And it does take work. I always remind my clients it's not one and done. I've read a book, I cannot remember the author's name, but it's 67 Days to Rewire Your Brain. She's a neuroscientist who
Hmm.
did a study and showed that in 67 days, new neural pathways form and those old ones start disappearing, for lack of a better word. And I apologize, I cannot remember her name,
They're
but
not reinforced.
yeah, they're going away, and this new neural pathway is forming. We need to be gentle and loving with ourselves, knowing it's going to take
Mm.
a hot minute to get a new habit going in the direction we want it to go. And I do a lot of internal family systems work where
Oh,
we have
yeah.
our parts and so
Yeah.
we love that part of us that trauma bonded with whatever. We love it because it served us. So we don't judge. We don't bring hateful talk to ourselves. We bring gentleness and acceptance because that it's just a better place to live. So often in our head, we say things we would never say to another human being, but we
Oh,
say it to
yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We gotta quit that.
You're speaking my language. I mean, just the experience of changing your own mind. Like, take me back. Take me back to where we were.
I was talking about our self-talk can be so hateful to ourselves. We'll say things to
The
ourselves we would not.
gentleness. Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
the gentleness. Because we've all done it. Oh, the impulsive things that it's like, why do we do the things that we don't wanna do, but we know we can't resist, and therefore we can't resist? Like, binging on a cookie and all the stuff in your cabinet. And then, instead of allowing yourself to enjoy it, you're punishing yourself during it, you're guilty after it, and those emotions that you don't want to feel perpetuate the cycle of whatever coping mechanism you choose, in this case, binging again. So the beating up is just so far from the healing. And I've realized in my journey toward moderation in these things, like the gentleness and because your brain, when you hear like restriction, oh, I'm never going to eat a cookie again then.
Yeah.
Okay, your body's going to freak out.
Yeah.
Because when
Well,
you tell your body that it's going to starve, it's going to have a response and it's going to
but
try to eat as many calories as possible to protect you.
well, we trigger that amygdala, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
dang.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that gentleness, like allow yourself to enjoy the cookie if you're going to eat the freaking cookie.
Absolutely. And, sometimes I will even, and I train my clients to do this, even patting your face or patting your hand will release some oxytocin, the love hormone,
Hmm.
and telling yourself, say your name. Your brain needs to hear your name. Julie, it's okay. You did the best you could. It's okay. It's going to be okay, or whatever
No.
words might be. But you're actually releasing some oxytocin, and your amygdala hears you talking. It's like, okay, then I'll come offline, and frontal cortex back online, and that's very soothing. Can be very soothing.
Yeah, treating yourself. Well, I always tell people like you need to be in your head, like treat yourself like your own best friend, but
Yeah.
even further than that, and apt to the IFS model, treating yourself the way that you like the inner child needs to be treated. Like, just like you don't, I mean, it'd be great to find a partner or somebody outside of you to say those things, but if they don't, and even if they do, you should be saying that to yourself.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh man, you poor thing, I'm so sorry you're going through that. Like,
Yeah.
how are we going to get through this together? Like, what do you need to hear? Tell yourself what you need to hear and
Right.
be with yourself. Like, you are your own partner. And in the sense that we need to take care of our bodies, we're our body's partner. Like,
Yeah. Well, we're the one partnership. We're the one relationship we're going to have our whole entire life. It's
yeah.
this relationship, and with my clients, we do a lot of inner child work, especially as we're working on the burnout piece. I have them take their inner child shopping to get toys. I'm also a registered play therapist, so I like I like
Oh.
toys. But write their
Hmm.
inner child a letter, a love letter. Exactly. Telling that inner child what the adult needed to say to that inner child, wherever the wounding might be. And then, well, there's all kinds of inner child work we can do, but that's a very important piece of the recovery. Very important. I'm glad you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah. Even just when I feel most alone in what I'm going through, even if I like do a journal entry, I'm like, I am with you. We're going to get through this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did a study. The people, they were isolated in cabins or whatever, and the people that did self-talk and said, "How are we gonna get through this?" fared the best.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Kirsten Neff, and she's out of, I think, University of Texas. She's a researcher, but she studied self-compassion. She's got a great website and a
Mm.
book that I have my professional orientation class read. It because it's about self-compassion. We need to have so much of that, but she really highlights that importance of that nurturing self-talk and being compassionate towards yourself. And as a researcher, I'm sure you'd be interested to see her research, what she's come up
Oh,
with
yeah.
from the self-compassion piece. But it's
That is
it's it's spot on. I mean, we need it. And we have to have that internal locus of control instead of looking towards others to tell us how we're doing, to
yeah.
be able to go inside and know how we're doing. Because when it's
Yes.
external, we're like a flag blowing in the wind. It depends on what those people say. We've got to have it inside and have that belief within us. That's powerful.
That is so powerful in everything, in your healing journey, in your exercise journey, like, in everything you're doing, you should be the thermostat. How
Yeah.
we doing? I love that. So this has been a wonderful conversation. I would love to hear. So imagine you're talking to somebody in the audience. They, I guess, just realize that they're burnt out or on the way to burnout. What is something that you want them to know or something that you want them to just adopt starting now?
A lot of things come to mind, but the very first thing, and this is, well, there's two things. The full body scan, do that for yourself. Learn how to do that. Get yourself embodied. And you do it with curiosity. Scan your head, your eyes, your throat, chest, tummy, sits bones down to your tippy toes with curiosity, no judgment, just
Mhm.
noticing any kind of physical something you notice, and then bring great curiosity to that. What is that telling me? What is that? That slows down the cycle, getting embodied. The other piece, I call it my superpower model, but it's just cognitive behavioral therapy. it's it's the thought model, but I think it's very important as you're working through your stuff, and we all have it. If if you've survived childhood, you have stuff. We all have stuff. But to learn this superpower model, there's a fact, right? No drama. We want to add drama to that fact. The house is brown. Whatever. It's a fact. That fact creates a thought. That thought creates a feeling. That feeling creates the action. CBT. It's just CBT. But our human superpower, girl, this is our superpower. We can change that thought, and that changes the feeling, that changes the action. Can't change the fact, but it really takes some time working with clients to teach them to catch that thought, because so often it goes straight to the feeling and you feel helpless.
And they don't even know that there's a thought. Like,
No, no.
absolutely.
So you have to slow the roll, and that's where that body scan can help too. Now, where's this
Mm.
feeling hidden? And catch that thought and train yourself. So, I don't know, the house is silly. Oh, well, my dog is barking. I can't change that fact. The dog is barking. The thought, oh my God, this is awful. The dog is barking. It's ruining everything. Feeling helpless. Action. Want to go scream at the dog. so, so I changed that. Dog is barking. I can't change. They're blue heelers. They see the cattle. They're barking. Um, but the thought, well, it's not the worst thing in the world. So a dog is barking. It's going to be fine. Feeling relaxed, not freaking out. Action, I'm more present. That's how the superpower model works. But I think
Yeah,
that's very powerful.
yeah, oh,
That,
100%. I've spent a lot of time, like, if I wake up in the morning and I'm fine, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, now I'm sad." Instead of being like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be sad the whole day, I'm freaking out," I'll be like, "What made me have that feeling? What brought that up?" And if I can think of the thought, great. If I can't, then I'll move through it in a different way, ideally through embodiment.
yeah,
Um, but one of the biggest lessons as a scientist and as a human with a body, and as a person who's had chronic pain and whatnot, I think the reframe, like you said, the curiosity, you shouldn't be saying, "Oh, my back hurts because I bent over too much doing this work and it's my fault and it's punishing me."
right.
Pain isn't punishment. Pain
No,
is benevolent communication from your body that is your
no.
teammate in life telling you things need to be a little different. And I
Yeah,
wish you would just listen.
absolutely. Our body is so wise. It's so wise. Absolutely. Yeah. The more in tune we get to our body, I think the more empowered we feel. Um, because yeah, it's benevolent. Absolutely. It's just telling you something. And I notice a lot of folks I work with have these rules,
Hmm.
shoulds and must. Ellis would call it masturbatory, who is a theorist. But I always will, well, I encourage my clients to check those rules. And sometimes I have them make a little book. And when they feel a feeling come up like, oh, I should do that, or oh, this is bad because of that. That's a rule. Write that rule down and ask yourself, says who? Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
And is it serving me? And anytime it's a should or a must, it's not serving you. It
I agree. Anytime should comes up, it should be curiosity. Question that.
Yeah, take it back to curiosity and always ask, where am I feeling this and is it serving me? What is it I really need?
Because should as a word is like asking yourself whether you should be feeling something that you don't necessarily feel. So if you're saying should, it means that you don't naturally feel that that is the right way, but you're intellectualizing what society has told you is something that you should be
Yeah,
doing.
it's a rule. You've come up with a rule. Yeah, and whatever we're feeling is exactly what we're supposed to be feeling. People have a lot of shame around various feelings, and whatever we're feeling,
I know.
sit with it. I had a professor. I went to Texas Tech for my doc work, and Dr. Marbley, I was upset about something. I don't remember. It's been years ago, but she told me, she said, well, sometimes you need to get your ass in a hole and sit there with those feelings. I thought, well, and then you can dig yourself out of that hole. I thought, well, that is really good advice.
Yeah,
Just
I
sit with
mean,
it. Sit with
sucks
it.
in the meantime, but with curiosity, it doesn't have to suck. It can
No.
be an experience. Everything
Yeah.
is an experience.
Well,
Understanding yourself better.
and also, it's okay not to be okay. I think I write in my book, life is 60%. Now, this is Julie anecdotal, but life is 60% yay, wonderful, and 40% suck. But that's how we recognize and really appreciate that 60%. If it were great all the
Embrace the
time,
suck.
that's
I
right.
say that all
Embrace
the time.
new bumper sticker. Well, it has something to teach us. It has something to teach us, and it's not
Always.
fun. But
I get excited now when I
yeah,
have a challenge, not because I enjoy it, but because I'm like, ooh, there's a lesson here. Let me unfold
yeah,
the puzzle, you know.
absolutely,
It's a reframe.
absolutely.
It's all perspective.
Well, and we just have to be curious about it, and I think we try to short circuit our way out of that suck sometimes, and the only way through
Mm,
it is to feel it and go through it. When we short circuit, it really can cement some of those bad emotions where we don't want them
mm.
because
And that's the energetic work for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Um you push it down, it's gonna harden, and you're supposed to be vibrating at a higher frequency than that.
Right.
Um so yeah, well, we could get into that forever, but one of the things that I think we should touch on before we go is what you were saying about resentment and those feelings that people feel shame around, recognizing that it's right if you are feeling it. Doesn't mean you have to do something about it, but there should be no, because, okay, so what you were saying about my dog is barking, I can't change that. I have a feeling I can't change that.
Oh,
I'm just adding guilt on top of the pre-existing feeling.
yeah.
So instead, let's be curious about it. Let's be gentle with it. Like it's just a truth. It's not something to judge.
It and feelings aren't permanent. They're not permanent. And sometimes our thoughts we think we have a thought and the thought is fact. Thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are
Ever.
absolutely not facts. But with a feeling, girl, it is so important we get curious about it. I cannot stress that enough. Judgment out the window, curious, because our body has so much to teach us. And I know it sits around laughing at us sometimes, going, "Girl, if you would just talk to me, we could move on through this."
Seriously. Seriously. I can only imagine how frustrating it is for her.
For a little body, yeah. Again, are you kidding me? You know.
Seriously. Seriously. I think curiosity is the answer to a lot of things. Like, I used to have so much worry about the unknown. Like, what's going to happen in my future?
Oh.
Like, where's my life path going to take me? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to whatever, whatever? Instead, now I'm like, I'm so curious where I'm going to end up. Like, this is so exciting.
What a different vibe, right? What a
Yeah.
different vibe. Let's just be excited and have an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So as soon as we label something as good or bad, there's a connotation to it. But if you decide not to label something, it's just an experience, and we're
Well,
lucky to have any.
that's right. And the minute we label something bad, your amygdala's like, okay, you called it. Let me manifest that. It's a
Yeah,
powerful little
that's true.
almond that
What you believe is what you perceive. We only have so much ability to observe the world around us, and what we anticipate will be reality usually turns out to be reality, because that is the narrow lens through which we can see
that's right.
with our biology. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's manifestation. That's everything.
Yeah.
So perspective, curiosity, embodiment, energy, integrity, being true to yourself, authenticity.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Give yourself permission. Give yourself, your body is waiting for permission to allow your soul joy to come forward. It's waiting. And it could be, I mean, for me, I love to go to Six Flags and ride the roller coaster. I feel alive. I scream. I think I'm going to die. It's wonderful.
That's play therapy, I'm sure.
Oh, it is. I am fully present. And that's an extreme. There's lots of other soul joys. I walk and scratch my horse's ear. That's soul joy.
Love it.
Hugging my husband. But we have to give ourselves permission. Your body's waiting for that to release all those rules and roles and performances, our responsibilities. That's what it is. We are so responsible.
And the masks, the rules, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let your soul joy come through.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Could you really quick tell us about your podcast and your new book? I'm going to have everything in the show notes, but I want them to understand through you what more they can learn from you.
Well, thank you. Well, I have a podcast, Compassion Fatigue Cure, from Burnout to Radiance, where I talk, everything I do is about nervous system regulation, both sides of my soul joy house. And my book is In Pursuit of Soul Joy. It's a 12-week guide for overcoming burnout and compassion fatigue. And that's on my website. And then my new podcast, which I'm really excited about, it's Sexy After 50, Improve Sex and Intimacy by Healing Your Nervous System. When estrogen, which rules our brain, starts going, we gals over 50 can have some issues, if you will. So we talk about nervous system and all kinds of spicy things for us gals. Well, any gal is going to get something from it. And my new book is, Are We Going to Have Sex or What?
That gets spicy. I just know it.
It does. It's how to keep, we get numb when we carry so much responsibility, and it's a
You're
way
not living for you.
What now?
You're not living for you.
No, not at all.
There's no I deserve pleasure in the midst of all of this.
And plus, when our brain does not feel safe, and when we are hitting deadlines and pushing ourselves, our brain is like, well, I don't feel safe. First thing to go is your pleasure, because
You can't be in both at once. No,
it's conserving energy. So learning to regulate your nervous system, and also how to, just be spicy in your body after 50. Keep that, long-term relationships does not mean sex is dead. You can have fabulous sex even after 35 years of marriage.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. It's about coming home. It's about coming home to yourself, excavating the lady that we buried. So I'm excited. And
I love that.
I said that to my husband on our first date. I'm older than he is, but are we going to have sex or what? That's what I said to him. And
I love that.
And he said, he's such a good sport. He said, you should name that book that. And I was like, well, yes, I will.
That is so funny. Perfect. And when people see that, they're going to be like, whoa. And that'll draw them in, and then you'll change their life. Boom.
I hope so.
Perfect.
You have been precious. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm so excited to share this with the world.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Julie, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom. Your work invites women to slow down, listen to the wisdom of their nervous system, and rediscover what it means to feel alive in their bodies again. And you do this all through science-backed guidance and deeply human conversation. You remind us that we're all healing, and it's not about pushing harder, but about reconnecting with joy, desire, and that quiet strength that's been here all along. If this resonated with you, please share it and give us a like. Otherwise, we'll see you next time, and keep shining.